Just days ago, Keir Starmer appeared unstoppable in his pursuit of sweeping welfare reforms. The Prime Minister confidently pushed forward with controversial cuts that would affect hundreds of thousands of Britain's most vulnerable citizens. Today, he finds himself in full retreat, forced into a dramatic reversal that has exposed deep fractures within his own party and raised serious questions about his leadership. The rebellion that brought Starmer to his knees wasn't orchestrated by opposition parties or external pressure groups. It came from within his own ranks, as more than 120 Labour MPs threatened to torpedo his welfare agenda entirely. This internal uprising represents one of the most significant challenges to Starmer's authority since taking office, and the way he handled it reveals much about the current state of British politics. The controversy centered on Starmer's ambitious plan to slash £5 billion from the UK's benefit system. The proposed cuts targeted personal independence payments and universal credit eligibility, reforms that government officials claimed were necessary to control spiraling welfare costs. However, these changes would have directly impacted approximately 800,000 people, many of whom are disabled or suffering from severe illnesses. Initially, Starmer dismissed the growing opposition within his party as mere background noise. He seemed confident that his authority as Prime Minister would be sufficient to push through the reforms despite internal dissent. This calculation proved spectacularly wrong as tensions within Parliament reached a breaking point that threatened to derail his entire agenda. The rebellion gained momentum when Vicky Foxcroft, a government whip, resigned in protest over the proposed cuts. Her departure sent shockwaves through Westminster and emboldened other Labour MPs to take a stand. Soon, 126 backbench MPs had signed a reasoned amendment opposing the welfare reforms, creating an unprecedented challenge to Starmer's leadership. Dame Meg Hillier, chair of the Treasury Select Committee, emerged as a key figure in organizing the resistance. Her involvement was particularly significant given her position within the party hierarchy and her reputation for measured political judgment. When someone of her stature leads a rebellion, it signals that the opposition runs deeper than typical backbench grumbling. By Friday morning, Downing Street was in crisis mode. Government spokespersons were hastily dispatched to announce that the Prime Minister had agreed to 3 major concessions designed to prevent what could have been a politically fatal revolt. These weren't minor adjustments, but substantial changes that fundamentally altered the character of the proposed reforms. The concessions revealed the extent of Starmer's retreat. All current personal independence payment recipients would be protected from any changes, effectively grandfathering existing beneficiaries into the current system. New claimants after November 2026 would face stricter eligibility requirements, but even these would include transitional protections to soften the impact. Perhaps most significantly, Starmer agreed to a comprehensive ministerial review of how personal independence payments are assessed. This review would be co-produced with disabled people and relevant advocacy groups, addressing one of the main criticisms that the original proposals had been developed without proper consultation with those who would be most affected. If you're finding this analysis of British politics valuable, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the stories shaping our nation. Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall sent the concession letter to Labour MPs overnight, carefully crafted language designed to provide political cover while acknowledging the concerns raised by the rebels. The wording represented a delicate balancing act, offering enough concessions to prevent a full-scale revolt while avoiding the appearance of complete capitulation. The response from Labour MPs was mixed, revealing the complex dynamics within the party. Dame Hillier praised the outcome as a workable compromise and commended Labour leadership for listening to both MPs and constituents. Her positive reaction helped provide cover for other MPs who were looking for reasons to support the revised proposals. However, not all rebels were satisfied with the concessions. Veteran left-wing MP Clive Lewis dismissed the deal as a face-saving exercise, criticizing the lack of proper impact assessment and meaningful inclusion of disabled voices from the beginning of the process. His continued opposition highlighted the difficulty Starmer faces in managing the ideological diversity within his party. Richard Bergen, a former ally of Jeremy Corbyn, was even more critical. He argued that the revised plan would still force hundreds of thousands of people into poverty and that minor adjustments to a fundamentally flawed policy didn't constitute meaningful reform. His characterization of the changes as betrayal rather than compromise demonstrated the depth of feeling among Labour's left wing. The Conservative Party, despite their own recent electoral disasters, seized upon Starmer's reversal as evidence of weak leadership. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride characterized the U-turn as another entry in a growing catalog of policy reversals, suggesting that Starmer lacks the conviction necessary for effective governance. Conservative MP Helen Whately was even more direct in her criticism, describing the move as humiliating and arguing that Labour had transformed a bad plan into essentially no plan at all. She warned that Starmer's approach risked creating a two-tier benefit system that would encourage long-term dependency rather than promoting work. The political damage from this episode extends beyond the immediate policy disagreement. Starmer's opponents, both within and outside his party, now view him as a leader who retreats under pressure. This perception is particularly dangerous for a prime minister still in his first year, as it invites further challenges and reduces his authority in future negotiations. This welfare U-turn joins a growing list of policy reversals that includes changes to winter fuel payments, tuition fees, and Israel-Palestine policy. Each reversal chips away at Starmer's image as a decisive leader and provides ammunition for critics who question his long-term viability as prime minister. The pattern of these reversals suggests deeper problems within Starmer's decision-making process. Policies appear to be announced without sufficient consultation or consideration of potential opposition, leading to hasty retreats when faced with resistance. This reactive approach to governance undermines confidence in the administration's competence and strategic thinking. Meanwhile, reports suggest that Labour is close to finalizing a controversial migration deal with France that has already attracted significant criticism. The proposed one-in, one-out arrangement would see Britain accept asylum seekers from French processing centers in exchange for France taking back-channel migrants. Migration expert Stephen Wolfe has characterized this approach as nonsensical, arguing that it essentially provides official sanction for people smuggling operations while failing to address the underlying problems. His analysis suggests that similar arrangements under previous systems resulted in Britain accepting 4 times as many migrants as it returned to France. More than 18,000 migrants have crossed the channel so far this year, representing a 43% increase compared to the same period last year. These figures highlight the scale of the challenge facing the government and the inadequacy of current approaches to managing migration. Before we wrap up, if you want to stay informed about these crucial developments in British politics, hit that subscribe button now. The welfare rebellion and its aftermath reveal fundamental tensions within the Labour Party and raise important questions about Starmer's leadership style. While he has avoided immediate political disaster, the long-term implications of this episode may prove more damaging than the original policy dispute itself. What are your thoughts on Starmer's handling of this crisis and what it means for the future of British politics? Share your views in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you found our analysis helpful.